This is a fictional romantic story created for entertainment purposes only. I collapsed at his family's dinner party, too bruised to stand. When Lucas Grimaldi caught me, his hands found the truth I'd been hiding for years. By morning, the man who hurt me learned what happens when you touch what belongs to a mafia boss. But what Lucas didn't expect was that I didn't want salvation. I wanted to be chosen. Help us reach 300 likes and comment where you're listening from. I shouldn't have come tonight. That thought kept circling my mind as I sat at the enormous dining table, surrounded by crystal chandeliers and people who belonged in a world I was only visiting. The Grimaldi mansion was everything you'd expect from old money mixed with new power. Marble floors that echoed every footstep, paintings worth more than most people's houses, and an atmosphere so thick with unspoken rules that I could barely breathe. I was here because of Maya. Sweet, bubbly Maya, who had no idea that her friendship was one of the few things keeping me sane these days. She'd invited me to her family's dinner party, insisting I needed to get out more, that I looked too pale, too tired. If only she knew why. The dress I wore was hers too. Deep emerald silk that made my dark hair look even darker, my skin even paler. It was beautiful, and it hid everything perfectly. The long sleeves covered the fingerprint bruises on my arms. The high neckline concealed the marks on my collarbone. The flowing fabric disguised how much weight I'd lost, how my ribs now showed when I breathed too deeply. I'd gotten good at hiding. Across the table, Maya's older brother watched me with an intensity that made my pulse quicken. Lucas Grimaldi was not a man you could ignore, even if you wanted to. Everything about him screamed danger. From the tattoos that crawled up his neck, to the way his tailored suit couldn't quite hide the raw muscle underneath. He had the kind of face that belonged on wanted posters, all sharp angles and cold eyes, except when he looked at his sister. Then, something softer flickered there, something almost human. He'd barely spoken to me before tonight. I was just Maya's quiet friend, the one who smiled politely and never caused trouble. Invisible, which was exactly how I needed to be. But tonight, those dark eyes kept finding me. And each time they did, I felt like he could see through every carefully constructed lie. "Harper, you've barely touched your food," Maya said, her voice cutting through my thoughts. "Are you feeling okay?" "I'm fine," I lied, the words automatic. "Just not very hungry." Lucas's jaw tightened. Had he noticed? No. Impossible. No one ever noticed. The dinner continued, course after course of food I couldn't eat, conversation I couldn't follow. My father's voice echoed in my head, drowning out everything else. His threats from this morning, his fists from last night, his promises that if I ever told anyone, he'd make sure I regretted being born. I was 21 years old, and I was trapped. "Excuse me," I murmured, starting to stand. I needed air, needed space, needed... The room tilted, my legs buckled, and suddenly the marble floor was rushing up to meet me. I braced for impact, for more pain to add to the collection I already carried, but it never came. Strong arms caught me mid-fall, pulling me against a chest that felt like solid stone. The scent of expensive cologne and something darker, something dangerous, filled my lungs. "Lucas, I've got you," he said, his voice low and rough, and for some reason, those 3 words made my eyes burn with tears I couldn't afford to shed. The dining room had gone silent. I could feel everyone staring, could imagine their thoughts. Too much wine. Not enough food. Attention-seeking. All the usual assumptions people made when they didn't understand. But Lucas wasn't putting me down. His arms tightened around me as I tried to pull away, and that's when I felt it. His fingers, large and calloused, had brushed against my side where the dress had shifted, where the worst of the bruises lived, purple and black and shaped like my father's rage. His entire body went rigid. "Everyone out," Lucas said, his voice cutting through the shocked silence like a blade. "Dinner's over." "Lucas, what?" Maya started, but one look from her brother silenced her.
Look at me.
Now. I'd never heard that tone before. It wasn't loud, wasn't aggressive, but it carried an authority that made even the most powerful people in the room move without question. Within seconds, it was just us, Lucas holding me like I weighed nothing, his eyes burning into mine with an intensity that terrified me. "Who did this to you?" he asked, and despite the softness of his voice, I heard the violence lurking beneath it. "I fell," I whispered, the lie tasting like ash. "I'm just clumsy." "Don't." His thumb brushed my cheek, so gentle it broke something inside me. "Don't lie to me, Harper. Not about this." Tears spilled over before I could stop them. No one had looked at me like that before. Like I mattered. Like my pain was real and important and worth acknowledging. "I can't," I choked out. "If I tell you, he'll what?" Lucas's jaw clenched, muscles jumping beneath his skin. "He'll never touch you again. I promise you that." I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him so badly. But I'd learned the hard way that promises meant nothing, that hope was just another way to get hurt. "You don't understand," I said, my voice breaking. "You can't just... He's my father. He'll find me. He always finds me." Something flickered in Lucas's eyes then. Something cold and calculating and absolutely merciless. "Then it's a good thing I'm very good at making sure people don't get found," he said. And despite everything, I believed him. He carried me out of that dining room, past the shocked staff and expensive art, up a grand staircase I'd admired earlier when everything still seemed normal. My protest died in my throat because honestly, I was so tired of fighting, so tired of pretending, so tired of being brave when all I wanted was to break down and let someone else be strong for a while. Lucas took me to a bedroom that was clearly his. Dark colors, minimal furniture, everything precise and controlled. He set me down on the bed like I was made of glass, then stepped back, running a hand through his dark hair.
"I know you're hurt.
"I need to see," he said.
Let me see."
And it wasn't a question. Shame burned through me, hot and acidic. No one had seen. No one knew the full extent of what I'd endured, what I'd hidden beneath smiles and long sleeves and careful lies.
Stay.
"Please," I whispered, though I wasn't sure what I was asking for. "Please don't look. Please don't judge. Please don't leave like everyone else." Lucas knelt in front of me, this dangerous man who commanded respect and fear, making himself smaller so I wouldn't be afraid. His hands moved to my sleeve, slow and careful, giving me every chance to stop him. I didn't. The fabric slid up, revealing the truth I'd worked so hard to hide. Bruises in various stages of healing, painting my skin in shades of purple, blue, yellow, green. Some were handprints. Others were from being shoved into walls, into furniture, into anything that happened to be nearby when my father's temper flared. Lucas's breathing changed. I watched his hands curl into fists, watched the tattoos on his knuckles flex as he fought for control. "How long?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Always," I admitted, the words scraping out of my throat. "For as long as I can remember. But it got worse after my mom died. He blamed me, said if I'd been a better daughter, she wouldn't have left." Left? Cancer. I laughed, but it sounded broken even to my own ears. She didn't choose to leave, but he needed someone to blame, and I was there. Lucas stood abruptly, pacing to the window, his entire body vibrating with barely contained rage. When he turned back, his eyes were black with fury, but his voice remained controlled. "You're not going back there." "I have to," I said, even though the thought made me want to vomit. "My things are there. My documents. Everything. I'll handle it. He pulled out his phone, typing something quickly. By tomorrow morning, everything you need will be here. You don't go near that house again. You don't speak to him again. He's done. The finality in his voice should have scared me. This man was clearly capable of things I didn't want to imagine, had connections I didn't want to know about. But all I felt was relief, crashing over me in waves so intense I couldn't breathe. Why? I asked, needing to understand.
I don't even know you.
Why would you do this for me? You don't even know me. Lucas crossed the room again, sitting beside me on the bed. This close, I could see the scars that marked his skin, the stories written in ink and violence across his body. He was beautiful, in a terrible, breathtaking way. Because nobody deserves what you've been through, he said simply. And because when I held you tonight, when I felt you shaking in my arms, something in me decided that you're mine to protect now.
Mine.
I'm not a charity case, I said, trying to find some dignity in this moment. I don't need saving. No, he agreed, surprising me. You need someone who won't let you fall again. There's a difference. His hand found mine, swallowing it completely. I stared at our joined hands, at the contrast between his scarred knuckles and my bruised wrists, and something shifted inside me. Something that felt dangerously like hope. I'm scared, I admitted, the words barely audible. Good, Lucas said.
Scared.
Fear keeps you alive, but you don't have to be scared alone anymore.
My fear keeps me alive.
That night, Lucas Grimaldi, a man who made his fortune in ways I probably shouldn't ask about, became my protector. But as I fell asleep in his guest room, my body finally relaxing for the first time in years, I didn't know that protection was just the beginning. I didn't know that the man who'd caught me when I fell was about to catch feelings he'd spent a lifetime avoiding. And I definitely didn't know that the 17-year age gap between us would become the least complicated thing about what was coming next. I woke to sunlight streaming through windows that weren't mine, in sheets that smelled like expensive detergent and safety. For a moment, I forgot where I was, forgot everything that had happened. Then reality crashed back, along with the familiar ache in my ribs. But this time, the ache came with the memory of strong arms catching me, dark eyes promising protection, and a voice that said I didn't have to be scared alone anymore. Lucas. A soft knock interrupted my thoughts. Before I could answer, the door opened, and Maya burst in, her face a mixture of concern and something that looked like excitement. You're awake. She rushed to the bed, sitting beside me and taking my hands. Harper, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. All this time, you were suffering, and I just thought you were shy. Shame burned through me again. It's not your fault. I got good at hiding.
It's not your fault. You got
Too
at
good,
hiding. But
she
I don't
said,
wanna hide anymore.
her eyes filling with
You don't
tears.
have to.
But Lucas told me everything last night. Well, not everything, but enough. And I want you to know that you're staying here. For as long as you need. Forever, if that's what you want. Forever. The word felt foreign. Impossible. People like me didn't get forevers. Maya, I can't impose. You're not imposing. You're family. She squeezed my hands. My brother might seem scary and okay. He is scary, but he's also the most loyal person I know. If he's decided to protect you, then you're protected. Trust me on that. Before I could respond, another knock came, this one firmer, more controlled. Maya grinned, standing up. That'll be him. He's been pacing outside for an hour, waiting for you to wake up. She headed for the door, pausing to look back. Oh, and Harper. I've never seen my brother look at anyone the way he looks at you. Just think about that. She left, and Lucas entered, filling the doorway with his presence. In daylight, he was even more intimidating. Black t-shirt stretched across muscles that looked carved from stone, tattoos visible on his arms now, intricate designs that probably had meanings I'd never understand. His face was hard, unreadable, but his eyes softened when they met mine. "How are you feeling?" he asked, staying near the door, giving me space.
Last night, I'm really confused.
Confused,
and grateful.
I admitted. Lucas,
I don't
about
know.
last night. I meant everything I said.
I meant everything
He
I
moved
said.
closer, each step deliberate. "Your father won't touch you again. Ever."
He will never touch you again.
Something in his tone made my blood run cold.
Ever.
"What did you do? What needed to be done?" He sat in the chair beside the bed, his large frame making the furniture look small.
Silence.
"He's been made aware that you're under my protection now, that if he comes near you, if he even thinks about you, there will be consequences." He won't listen,
It's useless.
I said, my voice shaking. "You don't know him. He doesn't care about consequences. He will care about these ones." Lucas's smile was dangerous, predatory. "Trust me, Piccola. Your father understands perfectly now." The Italian endearment caught me off guard, warming something deep inside me. "What does that mean? Piccola?" "Little one." His expression softened. "It fits you." I should have been offended. Should have reminded him I was 21, an adult, capable of making my own decisions. But instead, all I felt was cherished, like I was something precious that needed protecting. "I don't understand why you're doing this," I said
We
quietly.
need to talk.
"You barely know me."
What?
Lucas leaned forward,
I know.
his elbows on his knees, bringing his face closer to mine. This close, I could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes, the small scar above his eyebrow, the way his jaw clenched when he was thinking. "I know enough," he said. "I know you're strong enough to survive years of abuse without breaking. I know you're loyal enough to protect your father's secret even when it was killing you. I know you're brave enough to walk into a room full of strangers and pretend everything's fine when you can barely stand." Each word felt like a caress, like he was seeing parts of me I'd kept hidden even from myself. "And I know," he continued, his voice dropping lower, "that from the moment I caught you last night, something in me claimed you. I don't do feelings, Harper. I don't do relationships or
You
complications.
shouldn't be here.
But you,
I'm only 21.
you're different." My heart was pounding so hard I was sure he could hear it.
Old enough to know better, I guess.
"Lucas, I'm 21.
But I stopped caring
You're
about should when I saw her bruises.
38. He said
I
it
saw
without
you needed
apology,
help. Nothing
without
else
shame.
mattered. Conventional concerns
Old
were
enough to
dismissed
know
the moment
better,
your situation became
apparently.
clear. Supporting you
But
was
I
my
stopped
priority.
caring about what I
They
should do the
talk.
moment I saw
I'm
those
afraid.
bruises.
No,
"People will talk," I whispered.
no.
"Let them." His hand reached out, fingers brushing my cheek with devastating gentleness. I've never cared what people think, and I'm not starting now. The touch sent electricity through me, waking up parts of myself I'd thought were dead. I'd never been touched like this before, like I was valuable, like I mattered. My father's hands brought pain. Lucas's brought something else entirely. "I'm broken," I said, needing him to understand. "I'm damaged goods, Lucas. You could have anyone. I don't want anyone." His thumb traced my lower lip, and I couldn't breathe.
No,
"I want
Piccola,
you.
You're not. You are a
Broken
survivor.
pieces and all. Because you're
I
not
choose all of
broken.
you.
Piccola, you're a survivor." Before I could talk myself out of it, I leaned into his touch, closing my eyes and just feeling. Feeling safe, feeling seen, feeling like maybe, just maybe, I deserved something good. "I'm scared," I admitted again, the words becoming my truth. Of me? Of this. Of feeling. Of hoping. I opened my eyes, meeting his intense gaze. "Hope hurts more than anything
You
else.
shouldn't hope.
Then don't hope." Lucas stood, pulling me up with him,
There's another way.
his hands on my waist. "Just trust. Can you do that? Can you trust me?" I should have said no. Should have been smart, protected myself, remembered that men were dangerous and promises were lies. but standing there, drowning in his dark eyes, feeling his warmth seep into my cold places, I couldn't. "Yes," I whispered. "I trust you." Something flashed in his eyes, something fierce and possessive that should have terrified me. Instead, it made me feel powerful. This dangerous man, this force of nature, was looking at me like I was his entire world. "Good," he said, his hands tightening on my waist, "because I'm about to break every rule I've ever made." Then he kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It was claiming, possessive, absolutely consuming. His mouth moved against mine like he was starving and I was salvation, like he'd been waiting his entire life for this moment. One hand tangled in my hair, the other pressed against my lower back, pulling me flush against his body. I'd never been kissed before, never been touched with desire instead of violence. The contrast was overwhelming, intoxicating, absolutely terrifying in its intensity. When he finally pulled back, we were both breathing hard.
Tell me to stop.
His eyes were almost black,
This is too
his
much.
control clearly fraying.
Too fast.
"Tell me to
Tell me
stop," he said, his voice rough. "Tell me this is too fast, too much, and I'll walk away right now." But I didn't want him to walk away. For the first time in my life, I wanted to be reckless, wanted to feel something other than fear and pain. "Don't stop," I said, my hands fisting in his shirt. "Please don't stop." Lucas's control snapped. He lifted me easily, my legs wrapping around his waist as he carried me back to the bed. But even in his urgency, he was careful, mindful of my bruises, of my pain. Every touch was deliberate, every kiss strategic, designed to bring pleasure instead of pain. "You're so beautiful," he murmured against my neck, his hands exploring carefully. "So fucking beautiful. And all I can think about is erasing every bad touch, every bad memory until all you remember is this." His words were as intoxicating as his touch. I arched into him, craving more, needing to forget everything except this moment, this feeling, this man who made me feel alive for the first time in years. We didn't go too far. Lucas had more control than that, more respect for what I'd been through. But what we did share was enough to rewrite everything I thought I knew about touch, about desire, about what it meant to be wanted. Afterward, I lay in his arms, my head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. His fingers traced patterns on my back, careful of the bruises, and for the first time in my life, I felt content. "What happens now?" I asked quietly.
You don't have to
"Now?"
face this alone.
Lucas's
Stay
chest
here.
rumbled with his
Get
voice.
strong. Figure out who you are.
"Now you heal.
And I'm with you.
You stay here, you get strong, you figure out who you are without fear controlling you. And us?" His arms tightened around me. "We take it
I'm
one
not
day at a
going
time.
anywhere.
I'm
Neither
not
are
going
you.
anywhere.
We're staying.
Harper,
This is it for
neither
us.
are you."
Together.
It should have felt like a trap, should have triggered every warning bell my survival instincts had developed. But it didn't. It felt like home. "Lucas?" I tilted my head to look at him. "Thank you for seeing me, for saving me." His hand cupped my face, thumb stroking my cheek. "You saved yourself, Piccola. You survived. I'm just making sure you get to live now." As I drifted back to sleep, safe in the arms of a dangerous man who'd become my savior, I didn't know that my father wasn't done. I didn't know that Lucas's world came with its own dangers, its own complications. But I did know one thing. Whatever came next, I wouldn't face it alone. And that made all the difference. 3 weeks in the Grimaldi mansion taught me that safety was addictive. I woke up without fear, ate meals without calculating escape routes, walked through rooms without watching my back. It was intoxicating and terrifying in equal measure, because I knew deep down that nothing good ever lasted. Lucas was patient in ways I never expected from a man like him. He didn't push, didn't demand, just existed as this constant, solid presence in my life. We spent hours talking, learning each other. He told me about building his empire, about the choices that led him to this life, about the line between protection and control that he walked every day. I told him about my mother, about dreams I'd buried, about the girl I used to be before fear became my constant companion.
You're still that girl. You've just been
You're
sleeping.
still that girl,
Give yourself time.
he said one night, his fingers playing with my hair as we lay together. She's just been sleeping. Give her time to wake up. But on the 23rd day, my father found me. I was in the garden, enjoying the afternoon sun, when I heard his voice. The sound of it made my entire body lock up, muscle memory taking over, preparing for pain. Harper. He stumbled through the gate, drunk and furious, exactly as I remembered. Terror flooded me, drowning out every rational thought, every promise Lucas had made about protection. In that moment, I was 10 years old again, 12, 16, 21, every age where I'd learned that his anger meant suffering. Did you think you could run? He advanced, and I backed away, my legs hitting a stone bench. Did you think some gangster with money could protect you from me? I'm your father. You belong to me. No. The word came out stronger than I expected. I don't belong to anyone. His laugh was cruel. Is that what he told you? That you matter? You're nothing, Harper. You've always been nothing. Movement behind him made my father turn. Lucas stood there, and the expression on his face was something from nightmares. Cold, controlled rage that promised violence. You were told to stay away, Lucas said, his voice deadly calm. I don't repeat warnings. My father sneered, but I could see the fear in his eyes now. You think you scare me? I know men like you. All threats, no follow-through. No. Lucas moved forward, and it was like watching a predator stalk prey. Men like me don't make threats. We make promises. What happened next was fast and brutal. Lucas moved with precision, each strike calculated to hurt, but not permanently damage. Within seconds, my father was on his knees, bleeding and whimpering. You will leave, Lucas said, his hand in my father's hair, forcing him to look up. You will never speak her name again. You will pretend she doesn't exist. Because if I see you near her, if I hear you've even thought about her, I will end you. Slowly, painfully, in ways that will make you beg for death. You can't, my father started. Lucas's knee connected with his ribs, and the sound made me flinch. I can. I have. I will. The only question is whether you're stupid enough to test me. I should have felt something watching my father beaten. Satisfaction, maybe, or vindication. But all I felt was empty. This man had controlled my life through fear for so long, and seeing him reduced to this pathetic, bleeding mess on the ground, I realized he had no power anymore. He never really had power. He just had fists and a daughter too young to understand she deserved better. Harper. My father looked at me, something that might have been remorse in his eyes if I didn't know him better. Please. Go, I said, my voice steady. Lucas is right. I don't want to see you again. Ever. Security appeared then, Lucas's men, dragging my father away. His protests faded into the distance, and then it was just us in the garden, Lucas watching me with concern. Are you okay? He asked, not touching me, giving me space to process. I don't know, I admitted. I should feel something, shouldn't I? Anger, sadness, something. But I just feel tired. That's normal. He moved closer, carefully, like I might break. You've carried him for so long, Piccola. It's okay to be tired of the weight. I turned to him, this beautiful, dangerous man who'd chosen to be my shield. You didn't have to do that. Beat him, I mean. You could have just had your men take him away. Yes, Lucas agreed. But he needed to understand that hurting you has consequences, that you're protected, that you matter. Those last words broke something open in me. Tears came, hot and fast, and suddenly I was sobbing, all the fear and pain and relief pouring out in waves I couldn't control. Lucas pulled me into his arms, holding me together as I fell apart, whispering Italian words I didn't understand but felt in my soul. "I've got you," he murmured. "I've always got you." When the tears finally stopped, I pulled back, looking up at him. His face was still hard, still dangerous, but his eyes were soft when they looked at me. "I think I'm falling in love with you," I said, the words escaping before I could stop them. "I know it's too fast, too complicated, but it's not," he interrupted, his thumb wiping away my tears. "It's not too fast, not too anything. It's exactly right." His kiss was different this time. Gentle, reverent, full of promises that had nothing to do with protection, and everything to do with partnership. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against mine. "I love you, Harper Nolan," he said, the words sounding like a vow. "I loved you the moment I caught you. I loved you when I saw those bruises. I loved you every second since, and I'll love you every second that comes." "Even though I'm broken?" I asked, needing to hear it. "You're not broken." His hands cupped my face, forcing me to see the truth in his eyes. "You're a survivor. You're strong. You're mine, and I'm yours, if you'll have me." "I'm 21, I reminded him, even as my heart soared. "People will say you're taking advantage." "Let them." He smiled, and it transformed his face, making him look younger, lighter. "I've never cared what people think. The only opinion that matters is yours." Standing there in the garden where my father's power had finally died, I made my choice. Not because I needed saving, not because I was afraid, but because I wanted this. Wanted him. Wanted the life we could build together. "Then yes," I said, smiling through the last of my tears. "I'll have you. All of you." The kiss that followed sealed more than just our confession. It sealed our future, complicated and unconventional as it would be. In the weeks that followed, I learned to live instead of just survive. Lucas helped me enroll in online classes, pursuing the education my father had denied me. Maya became the sister I never had, teaching me about fashion and friendship and what family was supposed to feel like. The mansion became home, its walls a shelter instead of a prison. Lucas and I navigated the complexity of our relationship with surprising ease. Yes, the age gap raised eyebrows. Yes, people whispered about the Mafia boss and his young girlfriend. But we didn't care. What we had was real, built on respect and trust, and a connection that transcended numbers. 3 months after that dinner party that changed my life, Lucas took me back to the garden where he'd defended me from my father. It was sunset, the sky painted in shades of orange and pink, absolutely beautiful. "I have something for you," he said, pulling a small box from his pocket. My heart stopped. "Lucas, it's not what you think." He smiled, opening it to reveal a key. "I bought you a building, downtown. You mentioned wanting to help other survivors, to create a safe space for women escaping abuse. So I bought you a building, and funding, and whatever else you need to make it happen." Tears filled my eyes again, but these were different.
You bought it?
These
The
were
whole
tears of
building?
joy, of
So-
gratitude, of being truly seen and supported.
You're so extra. Oh my
"You
god.
bought me a building?" I laughed through the tears. "That's so extra." "I'm a very extra man," he said, grinning. "But seriously, Harper, you survived something terrible. Now help others do the same. Make your pain matter." I took the key, feeling its weight in my palm. This wasn't just a building. It was freedom. It was purpose. It was proof that surviving could lead to thriving. I love you, I said, launching myself into his arms. So much. I love you too, Piccola. He held me close, solid and real, and mine. Now and always. Standing there in his arms, I thought about the girl who'd collapsed at a dinner party, too bruised to stand, too broken to hope. She seemed like a different person now, a ghost from a life I barely remembered. That girl had been saved by huge hands that caught her before she fell. But this woman, the one I was becoming, she was saving herself. Lucas had just given her the space and safety to do it. And that made all the difference. 6 months later, on the day we opened the Harper's Haven shelter for women, I stood at the ribbon cutting with Lucas beside me. Reporters asked about our relationship, about the age difference, about the rumors surrounding Lucas's business dealings. I was 21 when I met him, I said, my voice clear and strong. I was being abused, and I was too scared to ask for help. Lucas saw what no one else wanted to see. He gave me safety, gave me space to heal, and then he gave me this. I gestured to the building behind us, a way to help others who are where I was. So yes, he's older. Yes, his past is complicated, but he's the best man I know. And I'm grateful every day that I fell and that he caught me. The reporters ate it up. The story of the Mafia boss and the girl he saved became something of legend. Some people criticized, many more supported. But none of it mattered, because I knew the truth. I knew that love didn't follow rules or timelines. I knew that healing wasn't linear. I knew that sometimes the scariest looking people had the gentlest hearts. And I knew that my story, which started with bruises and fear, had transformed into something beautiful. All because one man decided that I was worth catching. That night, lying in our bed in the mansion that had become our home, Lucas pulled me close.
You truly?
No regrets? He asked, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on my skin.
But what about
Not
you?
one, I said honestly. You? Only that I didn't find you sooner. He kissed my forehead. But we have now. We have the future. And I promise you, Harper, your future is going to be extraordinary. I believed him. Because Lucas Grimaldi didn't make promises he couldn't keep. And as I fell asleep in his arms, safe and loved, and finally free, I knew that sometimes the best love stories started with falling. You just needed someone strong enough to catch you, and brave enough to never let go. So, what would you have done in my place? Would you have trusted Lucas from that first moment? Or would the fear have been too strong, the age gap too wide, the circumstances too complicated? I've asked myself that question 1,000 times since that night I collapsed at dinner. What if I'd pushed him away? What if I'd refused his help out of pride or fear? Where would I be now? Sometimes I think about the version of me who stayed silent, who went back to my father's house, who never let anyone see the bruises. That version of Harper doesn't exist anymore, but she could have.
I saw
So
a life
easily.
where I didn't reach out and it was empty.
Here's what
To
I
accept
learned.
help, weakness.
Accepting help isn't weakness.
Trusting someone who sees your pain
Trusting someone who
isn't
sees your
surrender.
pain
Age
isn't
is just a
surrender.
number when you find someone who
And
treats you
age is
like
just a
you're worth
number when you
protecting.
find someone who treats you like you're worth protecting. Lucas didn't save me. Let me be clear about that. He gave me the space and safety to save myself.
Welcome, you found a safe place
There's a
here.
huge
We're all in
difference.
this together. Let me show
And
you
now,
around.
through Harper's Haven, I'm trying to give that same gift to other women who are where I was. But I want to know what you think. Was Lucas right to step in the way he did? Should he have handled my father differently? Do you believe in love that starts from such
Have
a
you ever
dark
been
place?
supported by someone during
Tell
a
me in the
difficult
comments.
time?
Tell me
Have
your
you been the
story
one
if you feel
offering
brave
support
enough.
to others?
Tell me
your
if you've
stories of
ever been
connection.
caught by someone when you were falling, or if you've been the one doing the catching, and if this story meant something to you, if it made you feel something, if it reminded you that survival is possible and love can come from unexpected places. then like this video. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe so you never miss another story about people who refuse to give up, who fight through the darkness to find their light. Because that's what we do here. We tell stories about real struggles, real love, real transformation. Stories that remind us we're not alone in our battles. Harper's story is finished, but yours is still being written. Make it count. Make it matter. And remember, it's okay to fall as long as you let someone catch you.
I'll see you in the next story.
I'll see you in the next story.
Stay strong.
Until then,
Stay brave.
stay strong, stay brave, and stay open to the possibility that your life can change in a single moment. You just have to be willing to let it.